Good afternoon, everyone, or good morning, good evening, whatever time you're watching. Today is another live on the Discovery Code channel, and yeah, we're here again. How's your week been? How have you been? How have you been taking the teaching so far? I hope it's bringing you value, and I hope you are finding help through these Friday lives. The purpose is to bring you value. The purpose is to show you that there's something much more. There's something much more than you are right now, and anything you want in this life is possible. You just have to put your mind to it. You just have to deal with the things that are stopping you. And today we're going to be talking about the overwhelm to ownership and how to take back control of your time and your energy. Is it even possible? Yes, it is. Yes, it is. We're just going to be showing you today how um, how it is, how you can start to take ownership from overwhelm. You know that feeling of, oh, I'm overwhelmed, constantly feeling overwhelmed, constantly feeling stressed by life, juggling everything, juggling household, juggling school runs, juggling everything really. And then you feel that stress coming inside of you. We're going to be brutal today. We're going to listen and see how we tell ourselves hard truths. If you want to ever achieve anything in life, if you ever want to move from A to B, you need to be truthful to yourself. You need to be able to tell yourself the truth as it is. If not, you will stay stuck on cycles that no longer serve you, or you stay stuck on versions of yourself that no longer serve you. So let's talk. Let's talk. Let's just do this and let's talk. I know you're busy. I know you have a million things to do. And I know that, um, I'm not here rather to, make you feel guilty about how busy you are or how overwhelmed your life is. It's not about, making you feel guilty. It's not about telling you to do more self-care. You know how they say, put your feet down, soak your feet, go to the spa, take a massage. No, I'm not talking about all that today. Those things are important. I'm not saying they're not important. Those things are important, but that's not our focus for today. It's about being real. What exactly makes you overwhelmed? Let's be real. I may be making you a little bit uncomfortable, but yes, it's good to be uncomfortable sometimes. Remember what we say, that the comfort zone, nothing, absolutely nothing goes in comfort zone. So to move forward, you need to tell yourself hard truths to be able to give yourself an uncomfortable account of what you are, of who you are, of what you're doing, or what your state is. I tell myself, I've said it so many times on the lives, how I had been a people pleaser. And it was an uncomfortable truth, because who wants to tell herself or himself that you're a people pleaser? Who wants to be brutal to themselves like that? We like to hear things, like we like to hear accolades, we like to hear praises, we like to hear people praising us and, supporting us. We don't like to hear the hard truth about ourselves. But see, I've come to realize that if you need to move forward, you need to tell yourself, name that thing that keeps you bound, or name that thing that keeps you stuck. That's a very easily that action of naming is liberating in itself, because you can't tame what you don't name. And that's what we're going to be doing today. So, I've told you a little bit about my story from time to time, how, I was everything to everyone and nothing to myself, being a people pleaser, not being able to say no, not being able to create boundaries. And I remember one incident, I think I've said this story before, but I remember one incident when my daughter said, why are you always tired? And I was like, wow, what a way to remember me, you know, how think about the memories you have about your mom. Some of them are pleasant memories, I know, but think about um how you remember her as a child, always busy, sitting down with me, giving me my time, giving me one-to-one time. Just think about how you remember. And when she said that thing, that mommy, why you always tired? You're always tired. I realized that yes, I had been saying it a lot. Every time, you come and ask me to open a bottle of water, for instance, I tell you, oh, please, I'm tired. You guys don't stop me. It was such an easy thing to say to kids. It was such I'm tired. Everybody come and clear this key table. I'm tired of talking. I know you're saying it over and over and over and over again, and you don't understand that your children's minds are, they take things literally. So when she said, "Mommy, why you always tired?" I said, "No, I'm not always tired. Just, I even started to stammer because there was really no explanation. But what was the truth? Was I always tired? Was I exhausted on the inside? Was I resentful? Was I always snappy? Yes, I was always snappy. And then I realized that, this child is seeing me for who I am, that person who overgives. And remember what we said. Your child, you're setting a standard for your children. You're setting a mirror for your children. You're not living life and saying it's my life. That's how I am. No, you're not saying that, because there is somebody you have birthed who is going to take that, that's how you are, and make it her own conditioning. So she's going to start to see it as, to be a mom, you have to be a martyr. To be a mom, you have to collapse. To be a mom, you have to be always tired. If you're not always tired, then you're not a mom. She's internalizing your own life. So we need to be careful. We need to tell ourselves that hard truth. Is this what we want to mirror as motherhood? Bible says that everything he created was good. So motherhood is a good thing. It wasn't meant to steal us. It wasn't meant to diminish us. I refuse to be in that category of people who say that when you're a mother, you lose yourself. Yes, there's an element of losing yourself in that sense. But what I'm trying to say is that you are not to live any less fulfilled just because you're a mother. You're not to live any less smaller just because you're a mother. You don't then permit yourself not to rise. You don't permit yourself not to do the things that you ought to do. You don't permit yourself to just stay in a mediocre level. You need to be able to see that um you are mirroring a life. You're mirroring what your children are internalizing, and also it's also becoming their own blueprint. So when you realize a great responsibility on us as moms, you will find help, because there's help available. There's help available. We're not saying do this on your own. You can't be more than what you can see. To be able to achieve something, you need to see the possibility of that thing. And I say it here a lot. You need to see the possibility that you can be much more than you are. You can be much more than you are. So when we say that, it's possible to move from, overwhelm, to manage your time, to manage your energies. These things are possible. They may be hard, they may take time, but now let's see what are the things that are actually making you overwhelmed. Let's actually look at these things. What are the things that are, that surmount, and what's exactly is overwhelm? I would say it's misaligned, misalignment. When what you are doing and what you are on the inside do not align. When you're not even doing things from a place of, your own values. We'll go into that. What is overwhelm? You take on too much. Why are you taking on too much? What is the reason for your taking on too much? What's the reason for your, not being able to set boundaries? So let's name the real problem. It's not a time management problem per se. Everybody has 24 hours. Every great person in this world that you have seen, every mompreneur or whatever they call those that phrases, all of us have the same 24 hours. Bill Gates has the same 24 hours. Yes, I know that you say he has people working for him. Yes, I agree. But we all have the same 24 hours. And every great person that you see did not start from greatness. They start from the beginning, they start from scratch. So what's the difference? Are you telling yourself the truth every time you want to say, let's tell ourselves the truth. Every time you say yes when you want to say no. Is that being truthful? So for instance, you get invitations for certain things and you really, really just want to finish that book. That's what you honestly want to do. You want to just sit down by yourself, sit down, with the kids around you, they're playing in the corner. You just want to do your own thing. But somehow you feel if I say no now, I will lose this friendship. Where's that coming from? We're going to see that. When you are afraid to have hard conversations, when you are afraid to make people unhappy because you just think, you are ice cream, you need everybody are happy around you. You're afraid to say no. Afraid. Eddie is gone. I apologize. My camera, for some reason, just triggers off. I don't know why. I need to look at it. Really, really sorry about that. But yeah, where were we? Let's continue. You know, so it was being able to tell the truth. And telling the truth is not about, black and white. I'm not saying that if somebody tells you, I've asked you a question, it's not that. It's tell the truth about what be telling the truth about what you want, telling the truth about telling the truth about how you feel. So, like I was giving an example, you want to sit down, you wanted to read your book, you just wanted to be at home, and then somebody invites you for something. You really don't want to go. You know, you really don't want to go. But for some reason, you just feel like you feel obliged. You're constantly feeling obliged to um attend to things, to give people audience, to listen to a voice note, you're you're not saying the truth about how you when what you want to do at that particular time. Having had conversations, there's a particular friend of yours that keeps draining you. They call you for 2 hours when they are on their lunch break and you are trying to do something. You're not able to say no. You really, really don't want to pick that call. You really, really don't want to have that conversation. But you are afraid to say the truth, to create a boundary. That's another way. Oh, thank you, Bukola. That's another way. Afraid to say the truth, afraid to make anyone offended, just afraid. So you feel, okay, I'm going to lose friends just because um I can't tell them no. So you choose misery over friendship. You just choose to be miserable. That's a particular thing someone is constantly doing to you, and you're like, oh, you're benefiting from this relationship. It's gone again. Should I just use my camera?
Um, yeah, do that.
I'm so sorry. My camera just keeps triggering off. I don't know why. We're going to have this Friday live, even if it's for just 30 minutes. Just keeps triggering off. And yeah, we're back now. I'm so sorry about that. So sorry. So you look at it, you're not able to manage, your time. It's not about managing your time. You're not just able to manage your own honesty. You're not able to manage how you feel, your own honesty. So the hard truth is here that, every time you want to say yes when you mean no, you're actually lying. You're being dishonest to yourself. You're not you're not doing yourself any favors. And the lies, they pile up. So you then teach people how to interact with you. You teach them how to this is you present a personality that is actually not yours. So you're teaching people every time you're turning up for something you really don't want to turn up to. You're teaching them. So they pile up, and then you now get buried under it. So saying yes to obligations that you don't need to say yes to, piling that up, and then you say, okay, I am overwhelmed. Of course you will be overwhelmed because you had no business, really doing all the things you need to do. You have never really sat down to streamline and align the things that are important to you. So yes, you're a stay-at-home mom, or yes, you're a mom, or whatever it is, or you work part-time, or you are even a mom who works, and that's fine. But you've never been able to sit down to say no because you feel obliged, constantly feeling obliged. And when these things pile up, you now get buried. So overwhelm isn't just busyness. It's not just about being busy. Oh, I'm too busy. I don't have time to do this. I don't have time to do this. I don't have time on my schedule. I can't schedule this. I can't schedule time for this, and I can't schedule time. It's not about just that. It's the cost of dishonesty with yourself and with others. So every time you choose dishonesty in your relationship with other people, in your relationship with even the members of your own household, you are paying a price. And that price comes with overwhelm. So you don't understand, there's certain, dynamics of relationships that you don't understand, and you're not able to even have that hard conversation. So you stay dishonest, you stay small, you just let's just keep quiet, and that's fine. Constantly trying to keep the peace. So ownership is about integrity. At this point in time, what am I able to commit to? At this point in time, what am I able to do? At this point in time, what am I able to, to give my time to? Be I'm not, this integrity we're talking about is between you and you. It's not like anybody actually knows the integrity we're talking about. It's not like anybody is not you're going to come and report to me to keep yourself accountable. No, you sit down. We've talked about it. Have that family meeting with yourself. So every day at the end of the day, ask yourself hard questions. Where have I shown up that I didn't need to show up? What have I done that I didn't need to do? Am I everywhere and nowhere? Constantly trying to keep the peace, constantly trying to, oblige the obligation. Have I been true to myself? Have I been true to my values? Have I been true to the commitments I've made to myself? So when you talk about overwhelm, we're not just talking about, your schedule. We're talking about you as a person. Are you overwhelming yourself with the things that are around you? With the friends that are around you, with the commitments that you make, with the volunteering that you're everywhere. You constantly, you volunteer here, you volunteer there, and it's okay if that is, you have the capacity for it. But even, in terms of capacity, let's talk about capacity. When you do not build capacity to do something and you are doing it, it brings also an overwhelm. So while you're doing these things, build the capacity that will help you to sustain these things, to sustain the commitments that you're making. Build that capacity also. Grow the capacity, because when you don't grow the capacity, you continue to feel strained by commitments, strained by just, living. So let's ask yourself one question this afternoon. Where is it in my life that I am saying yes when I mean to say no? Where is it in my life that I'm saying yes when I mean to say no? Not need to. I mean to say no, but I just keep saying yes. Is it my sister's children always coming to my house? Every Saturday I have no life because I have to babysit all the children in the village, because it takes a village to build. Is it that I'm always helping every other person to babysit? Oh, I have to go to the market, let my children come to your house. Oh, I have to do this, let my children come to your house. Oh, I have to do that. Yeah, the one, you're here. Yes, you've told everybody that you're an introvert and you like being indoors, but is it really, really, really? Or are you hiding? Or are you hiding? Oh, you want the cousins to grow up together. I'm not, no, see, I'm all for helping. Or if you know me very well, you know that I love to help people. I love to do these things that I'm doing. But when to say no is what you need to expect. So be brutal about it. Think about the commitments you made in your child's school. Think about the family expectations. Think about the friends that you have, even your own partner, even your husband. Be brutally honest. Have you been able to sit down and say that, please, honey, every this day, on every day, every Wednesday, for instance, you're going to do this and that because I need 1 full hour to myself. Be brutally honest. You know why you are afraid to ask him to take care of his own kids? Why? What's the problem? So you stay miserable, you stay resentful, you look at your partner, he seems to be flying in his career, but you're feeling stressed because of course you don't seem to be flying. But have you ever really asked, have you ever really sat down to pinpoint what it is that you want? Have you ever sat down to outline what it is that you want? Have you ever been able to say, okay, these are my values, these are my goals, these are my achievements? At the beginning of the year, he's doing his own goals. Are you doing your own goals? Are you telling him this is how the dynamics of this home will run? Because obviously you are running your own thing. I want to also be able to grow. So this is my have you even had a growth plan and you're sharing it with him that this is how I want to grow? These are the things that I'm doing for my growth. So you sit down there and you're being resentful, but you have never actually had that conversation. And then you feel overwhelmed. The world is passing by. It's already the seventh month of the year, and I haven't done anything. I haven't done anything. I haven't. But you yourself, what have you done? Think about the hardest thing that you need to say no to, that you have not said no, and admit it. Because when you don't admit it, you're telling lies to yourself. You're just sitting down in that pile of dishonesty. And that doesn't help you. That doesn't grow you. That doesn't fetch you anything. Because the years go by, the months go by, the days go by. It's already 12 o'clock now, for instance. Before you know what's happening, it's nighttime. If you don't look at your life as, if you are looking at your life as one big long life, that's not, yes, is see the future and all that, but every day ask yourself, micro what are micro achievements have I made? What How am I aligning to this person that I want to become? What hard truths do I need to tell? Being able to tell yourself the hard truth is very important. You're not on a journey of self-deception, because it's easy to stay in self-deception and think that, oh, there's time, or I have the time, I have this or I have that. It's easy to stay there, and then the time actually just goes. But that's not what we're talking about today. So why do we stay overwhelmed? Because it serves us. Let me explain. When you stay in a place of overwhelm, it's not because you are afraid to say how this overwhelm serves you. You're afraid to you know admit that it actually gives you an excuse. So let's unpack this. You find a way to give an excuse with your busyness, with your overwhelm. So it gives you a safe place to stay. When you're too busy, you don't have to have the hard conversations. When you're too, you're everywhere. You can't. You're not sitting down to you're not sitting down to have the hard conversations. You're not setting boundaries. You're giving your. So let me just say it in plain terms. Somebody asks you to do something, and your partner asks you to do something, your husband asks you to do something, and because you don't want to confront, you don't want to sit down and have deep conversations or deep truthless conversations. You just and then you say, okay, I'm busy. So he's constantly seeing you busy. You've cleaned the first room, you've cleaned the second room, you've cleaned the third room, you've cleaned the fourth room. It's constantly busy. Then at night, when he's wanting to have a conversation with you, you're like, I'm tired, I've been busy all day. But you never deliberately, set time aside to have those conversations. You're avoiding. It's just a way of avoiding. I know people who, when they are stressed, instead of sitting down to analyze why they are stressed, they start to clean. It's the best time for them to clean. It's the best time for them to arrange the house. They remove everything from the cupboard, put it back. That's the best time for them. That's when they start to analyze what needs to go where. You see, there's nothing wrong with organization, there's nothing wrong with cleaning, there's nothing wrong with anything or all of those things. But the truth is, if you're using overwhelm as an excuse to dealing with things that are there that you need to be dealt with, then it's a problem. That's when it's a problem. So when you use overwhelm as an excuse instead of dealing with the problem itself, you now say, I am overwhelmed. There's a problem. There's something keeping you overwhelmed, but you will rather deal with every other thing than the point of overwhelm. And that's another reason people stay overwhelmed. People stay constantly busy. Being too busy is another way of saying, I don't want to deal with these things heads on. I don't want to deal with these things with, with truth, with honesty. I just want to hide in busyness. I want to hide in doing. You're constantly doing. Yes, there's a problem. Sit down and deal with the problem. Don't avoid it. Don't use overwhelm as an excuse to don't use overwhelm as an excuse to avoid. Overwhelm can be an because sometimes when you come face to face with yourself and you see the overwhelming I use the word overwhelming again, the overwhelming statistics about you. You look at your life and you look at, okay, if I need to deal with this, I need to deal with that to become a better mom, I need to deal with this to become a better business lady, I need to deal with this. But those things are so stressful. I need to deal with my lack of discipline, I need to deal with my eating too much. Okay, to achieve a weight that I can sustain, or to achieve a healthy life, I need to do this and do that. You just want to avoid what the real problem is. You want to avoid the real reason why you overeat. You want to avoid the real reason that causes you stress, so you stay overwhelmed. Because after all, you use it as a label, because after all, people can say that I'm busy. So you don't want to deal with the weight loss, you don't want to deal with the things that make you unhealthy. So after all, I'm so busy, I can't join the gym. That's an example. So you stay overwhelmed because it gives you excuse, it gives you a safe space not to have the conversations you need to have, not to do the things that you need to do. You know what they say in Nigeria? There's that thing they say, busybody. My mom used to call me busybody when I was growing up. Because instead of washing that plate, I can go and arrange sand outside. As silly as it sounds. I will leave the plate until last minute, until they use, Koboko to, give me a reset. But I would rather do every other thing. You just see me going up, down, up, down. But the real thing I needed to do was to wash that plate. And that's what some of us are doing even as adults. You want to stay in a space where you tell yourself that I don't have the time to do this. I'm not cut out for this. I don't have the time to do what I need to do. So let's watch it. Sit down with yourself today. Ask yourself sincere questions. What are the things that are causing me this overwhelm? What are the things that are causing me to, deal with every other thing minus me? Because dealing with yourself, self mastery, as they say, is like one of the greatest things that you can do as for yourself. When you still see yourself giving excuses for the things that you're supposed to be, or the things you're supposed to do, or the things that pertain to your growth or your physical health, or your, whatever it is, your emotional health, when you see yourself giving an excuse, ask yourself, what is it exactly that I'm trying to avoid? Why is it so hard to meet with the real me, to meet with the me that I am? Why is it so hard? What are you avoiding? What are you avoiding? When you stretch yourself beyond, what you really need to, you are saying yes all the time. You're saying yes all the time. You're saying yes all the time. What are you avoiding? What are you running away from? What truth are you running away from? Sit down and ask yourself these questions this afternoon or this evening, or whenever you're watching. Ask yourself, am I really avoiding something? Because overwhelm is such a strong language, and it can be such a strong excuse also, unfortunately. So being able to say with your family, like I started to do this thing with my girls, for instance. I tell them mommy needs a 30-minute break, and please, whatever you do, don't come to me. Even except the house is burning, don't come to me. Go and meet any other person. If you can't deal with it, 30 minutes, nothing will happen. Even if you are hungry, 30 minutes, you will be fine. Are you able to set boundaries with your family members? Are you able to set boundaries with your kids? Are you able to ask for help? What is that thing that keeps you from trying to do it all and you don't ask for help? It doesn't mean you're not a good mom. Oh. It has nothing to do with it. It doesn't mean that you're not kind. It just means that you yourself, you know you need a break. You don't have to be a martyr to be a good mom. That's the thing. You don't have to be a martyr to be a good mom. So if you're being honest with yourself, take the breaks when you need to take the breaks. Be honest with yourself. Don't stay inside overwhelm. Don't stay inside stress, and you're not calling out for help. You're not asking your partner for help. You're not taking out time for yourself. Don't say yes when you mean to say no. Your usefulness is not in the number of things that you have to do. Sometimes it's easy to stay in that space where you feel like being productive. You feel like being productive is how you can be useful. No, it's not in the number of things. It's not in the number of. It's not in the magnitude of things that you're doing. That's not where your usefulness comes from. You're useful as a person. That's it. So you don't have to keep proving. You don't have to keep proving yourself over and over and over again that if I'm not doing these things, everything will fall apart. What if you die? That's the honest truth. The people will move on. People move on. They will grow without you. But you need to be able to pause. Pausing is very important as a mom. Now, I want you to write down, as you listen, write down 3 values as a mom or as a woman that matter to you. Is it family? Is it health? Is it calm? Is it creativity? Is it faith? Is it connection? Just 3 values. Write it down. Whatever matters to you, write it down. And ask yourself right now, does my schedule honor these values, or does it betray them? Let's give an example. You say that one of the values you have is health, for instance, but we don't see you exercising, so your schedule has on your schedule there's no space for exercising, for instance. You're not honoring those values. Now, is it value by mouth, or value by paper, or value by what your schedule actually shows? So you say that health is important. You say that, I want to be healthy, I want to be fit, but there's nothing in your schedule that honors that value. Or you say, for instance, I want to have connection with my family. I want to have time for my family. But even though you are home, or whenever you are home, you fill in the time with so many other activities minus connection time. And then you ask yourself, is that really, really, really honoring what matters to me most? So look at your schedule every day. Ask yourself, I was listening to John Maxwell, and he said, there are 5 things he does every day and it aligns with his values. He says he writes, he reads, he thinks, he coaches, and then he said one thing. So every day there's certain things he must do every day. He must write every day. He must think every day. I think he said he blocked out 2 to 3 hours every day for thinking. Obviously, some of us are not there yet because we still have small kids, but obviously as you grow older, as the kids leave the house, you have time for that. Say dedicates 2 to 3 hours, no screen, nothing. He's just thinking, him, paper, and it's just, and I'm like, wow. But you see, that's a man that values the creativity that he gets from thinking. So he would schedule the time. Look at your schedule. You say you're overwhelmed, but you have never really even put the things that you value into your schedule. You have never really been able to honor the things that matter, that you say that matter the most to you. That's why overwhelm comes, because overwhelm comes when your values do not align to your action. When you're not doing the things that matter to you, when you're not doing the things that keep your soul in alignment, then you become overwhelmed, you become stressed. When you're not doing the things that um your soul is craving for, you start to lose steam, you start to lose energy, you start to lose strength, because your soul is craving. Your soul knows what it needs, right? You start to lose the strength and the energy, and then and these things we are talking about, it's not just the physical things you're doing. How do you manage yourself on the inside? How do you wake up in the morning and the first thing that you do is to pick up your phone? All those things are energy draining. The things you do during the day, do they actually drain you? Some people find strength in cooking. I'm happy for them, but I'm not one of them. But some people find strength in cooking. But while they're cooking, are they also able to, do, they find strength in it? I am of the opinion that sometimes you also use these things as an excuse, because obviously everybody wants to, you're saying everybody sees how busy you are. So you can go both ways. You can use it as an excuse, you can use it to fuel your own drive. But even while you're doing the things that you claim to love, what are the things that you do alongside that can fuel you? So, for instance, listening to music, listening to a podcast, listening to a message, praying, you can actually be doing that. These are the things. So, how are you? Look at your schedule. You need to be, we talked about honesty in the beginning. You need to be very, very sincere with yourself, you know, that your schedule and your values, when they don't align, the things that you're actually doing and the values that you have, when they don't align, it causes a stress on the inside of you, because there's this restlessness that come when you're not living in alignment, when you're not living in your purpose, when you're not living, with the values that you say matter. There's an unsettledness in your mind. You're just unsettled on the inside of you. How much, how many times in a day do you feel unsettled? Ask yourself these questions. And when you're asking yourself these questions, be truthful. Say the things as they come to you. Be honest with yourself. If you're avoiding things, if you're using overwhelm as an excuse for avoidance, write it down. Ask yourself, am I being avoidant, or am I just, some of us, we were brought up in such a way that, we try to gain approval from our parents. We try to, we're only recognized when we did good. We're only recognized when, or applauded when we did good, or applauded when we kept the peace. So if we didn't speak, then we will not be beaten. And we've carried this thing unknowingly, unconsciously into our adulthood. So we do things, and we are like, we don't know how to validate ourselves. We don't know how to love ourselves. So we are doing all these plenty things, but we have never really been in touch with the real person that we are. These things are very real. And then they keep you in a cycle, stressed, unhappy, sad, resentful. You strive. So these things keep you in a loop. You don't even understand why you're always unhappy. You don't understand why you're sad. You don't understand why you're depressed. You don't understand who you really are. And then you start to see people pleasing as a form of kindness, because you had to please your parents, you had to please your mom or your dad or whoever it was that brought you up to earn love. And it's still seeping into the things that you do now, even as an adult. So you're not just, you're telling yourself, I'm a very kind person, I'm a very kind person, I'm a very kind person. But the thing is, what you're actually doing, if you want to name it, it's fear management, afraid of losing people, afraid of losing friends, afraid of losing the family, afraid of not being liked even by your own children. So it's fear. You start to stay in fear. Oh, you are afraid that, you're afraid of conflict. You say you're a peacekeeper, but what you're really afraid of is, conflict. You're afraid of judgment. The reason you're not able to, put your own thoughts out there or put yourself out there is that, what would they say about me? You're afraid of being lazy or selfish. I remember once when my brother called me when I just had my first child, and he said, what do you even do at home? Just sit down and watch K drama. Number one, I'm not even a TV person, so you won't catch me watching. I don't even know what K drama is. And I warned him, I said, don't ever, ever call me and ask me what I'm doing with my time, because I was very upset. But, I addressed it. But, there's this thing that, you don't want anybody to see you as lazy or selfish. You are afraid of the opinion. You are afraid of opinion. You are afraid of, let not be as if, okay, they would say that I'm a selfish person or I'm a lazy person. So you start to, your actions are bettered or come from a place of, I don't want to be seen like that. But is that actually the truth? Are you lazy? I don't know. I don't think so. Are you selfish? What are you afraid of confronting? What are you afraid of confronting that will bring you your own peace? That will bring you your own, that will remove overwhelm from your brain, the overthinking. What are you afraid of confronting? My question to you, the only one question I want you to take away from here is, what are you afraid of confronting? What would happen if I disappoint someone? For instance, someone has asked me to come and pick them up from somewhere or escort them somewhere or something. What would happen? You're looking at these things that they are small, but they are real. They are very real. Time wasters. What will happen if I don't reply that text message until I can reply the text message? What will happen if I have a time block where it's just me, nobody else? I know that it will look like I'm being lazy or I'm being selfish, but I need this time to be able to think. I need this time to journal. I need this time to be able to replenish myself. What will happen if I sit down and I don't even clean as much as I clean? What will happen? What will happen if why am I so afraid of saying no and setting boundaries? Why do I let everyone take me for a ride? These are questions you will need to ask for yourself. You will need to sit down and think about it. Where is this thing coming from? Is it from how you have been conditioned before now? Because these things cause overwhelm. Sometimes something happens, and even the stress of thinking about it over and over and over and over again causes overwhelm. So you're overthinking. Maybe I shouldn't have. Maybe I should have. Maybe I should have. I had a text message from my friend. She's my childhood friend. She had sent me a message, and in that moment when I was feeling, it wasn't really about what she said, but in that moment, she sent it at the time when if I had just paused and before I responded, I probably wouldn't have sent the response that I responded. But I was feeling stressed and overwhelmed. I was just feeling, honestly speaking, I needed to think, but she sent that text at the wrong time and I responded. And she wrote me back and said, I didn't expect this response from you. And I said, yes, you're right. It's not a reflection of what you said, it's a reflection of how I felt. But my human brain, I just told myself there and then, Debbie, you goofed. Let's move on. But the human brain wants to, you shouldn't have, you shouldn't have, you shouldn't have, you shouldn't have. Yes, I've disappointed her, and that's fine. She didn't like what I've said. But we needed to have the conversation, and I had that conversation. It was a hard conversation. I move on. But when you don't deal with these things, you stay in that place of, overthinking things. And overthinking never helps anyone. It doesn't help you move forward. It keeps you stressed. It keeps you stressed. You can't be overthinking and then you are having space for creative thoughts. It doesn't happen that way. So yes, you've disappointed something has happened. Sit with it and just be honest. Tell yourself, okay, I apologize for talking to you this way. I apologize for the messages I sent. I apologize for this. These things look small, but these are the things that in a day, it happens in pockets here and there. It drains you, it stretches your day, and then it makes your day lack productivity. So sit down with these things. Ask yourself these questions. If something isn't when you sit down, with these questions and you ask yourself these questions and you do this work on yourself, like I keep saying, it looks small, but these are things that drain. They really, really do drain, especially for women when we overthink. We're emotional beings. That's how we're made. But you don't have to sit down and marinate in the emotions that are are negative. You don't have to. You can stretch yourself, you can stretch who you are. You can sit down and write down the things that are bothering you instead of overworking yourself to avoid. You can sit with yourself, you can stop being avoidant. And when you do these things, remember that your kids are watching. Remember that this legacy is not just about you. Remember all the things that we have said, on our Friday lives. Your kids are watching you. When they see you, you're constantly burnt out, you're constantly snappy. It filters through the house. The junior one starts to talk to the senior one starts to talk to the junior one the way you talk to them. You're mirroring something. You're teaching burnt out. You're imprinting it even in their own blueprint. And then they would have to go and start finding, therapy or trauma, inner child learning or inner child work and all that. But you can stop that trajectory for your own household today. You can do it today. You can do this work. You can do this work. You can sit down and strip all the things that are, stressing you out. You can strip the power it has over you. You can strip it off. You are setting a precedent. You are setting a legacy. You stay in that place where you're constantly burnt out, you're constantly snappy, and they are learning motherhood from you. They are learning how to be a mom from you. They have never seen you calm. They have never seen you restful. They have never seen you peaceful. They are learning it from you. So yes, even if I'm not preaching perfection here. So yes, even if you snap, do you go back and say you're sorry? Do you go back and try and talk it out with them? Everything you do in the household sets a blueprint for your own child. So this is just beyond you. We're not asking you to do these things because it's easy to do, but because it's beyond you. It's beyond just you as an individual. There's someone watching you, and there's someone who will take this behavior out even into their school and into their world. So ask yourself this question again. Another question you should ask yourself is, what legacy do I want to leave for my children? What legacy do I want to leave for the children that I have? Do you want them to believe that being a mom means disappearing? Do you want them to believe that being a mom? So you see, when you stay unhealed, you're not doing yourself any favors. You're not doing your children any favors. When you stay small, when you stay buried, when you stay in in constant state of piling up things, you're not doing any favor. You're not going to reclaim time and energy just because of yourself, just because of you. Fight to see that you would be a better version of yourself. Fight for it because there's someone watching you. Or do you want them to see motherhood, that motherhood can be honest and healthy and whole? So you're setting them, you're setting an example. Motherhood can be honest, it can be healthy, it can be whole. You can love people and still ask them to respect your boundaries. You're even teaching them how to, set boundaries, because it's in the lack of setting boundaries that they start to get peer pressure. Everybody comes into their life, everybody has a say into their life. There's some people that they don't know how to say no to friends, they don't know how to say no to acquaintances. Everybody has to be in their space. Don't teach them that. Don't teach them that. Teach them that they can say no to people who do not align with their values. Teach them that they can, and it's not by teaching, it's by being that yourself. So we're just going to be closing now. I wanted this to be as short as possible because it's more of reflections. I hope you've written down the questions that you need to ask yourself, and I hope you have taken the notes that you need to talk through to with yourself, because these are questions that you need to ask yourself very regularly on a very daily basis. Did I live in alignment to who I am, to my true self, or was I just everywhere and nowhere? What am I becoming? Who am I? Is my time and how I use my time and my energy, does it reflect the values and the values that honor me? Or am I just everywhere and nowhere? Because the truth of the matter is that when you don't live in alignment, that's a bedrock for overwhelm. That's a bedrock for using your time and your energy for things that do not matter. That's a bedrock for time mismanagement, energy mismanagement, energy drainage. Sitting down with someone you don't need to sit down with, having conversations, scrolling through social media, all these things, are they honoring the values that you have? Are they draining you? Are they making, or are they, the thing that you do, every little things that you're doing in little bits of time, in little pockets of time, they compound. They compound and then it becomes something else. So we're just going to have a few takeaways. Overwhelm is choosing. In fact, all the time, overwhelm is often chosen. Often choosing. You choose to be overwhelmed. It's chosen. It's not somebody making you, it's chosen. You have chosen to be overwhelmed because you have not sat down to look at the things that drain you, to look at the things that make your time and your energy misaligned. Saying yes when you mean to say no is an outright lie. That's being dishonest. You've said yes to so many things. Those are quick takeaways. You've said yes to so many things, blah, 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 blah. Everybody asks you, yeah, 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 yeah. You don't really want to do it. That's lying. You're not being honest with yourself. And people pleasing is actually fear management. You're afraid of losing people. You're afraid of seeking, you're afraid of losing validation. You're afraid of, just not being liked. Check it every time you say that you don't want to disappoint someone. Check it. You need to go and sit down with yourself and ask yourself, are you afraid of being unliked? Are you afraid of attacks, that kind of thing, like criticism? That's the word. Are you afraid of criticism? You just want everyone to like you, want everybody to be in your space. Check it. It could be fear management. And your kids are watching how you live. Your kids are watching you. Don't ever take that for granted. Don't ever say I can't come and kill myself. No. Mind the language you use around them. Mind the kind of we're not here to preach to you perfection. We're not saying that it's so easy to do, but it's possible. When you see the possibility of everything you can become, when you see the possibility of a life that you can live, you will strive to become it. But you need to see it. You need to see the possibility. I know a lot of people break down, and that seems like the norm, but I want you to see that it's possible to live, to ascend, to live a life of transcendence, not just a life that is there, just there, your mediocrity. No, we're saying that there's possibility, there's an ability to rise above these things. Ownership is integrity. Take ownership of your time, take ownership of your schedule, take ownership is integrity. And freedom costs other people's disappointment. So you want to buy yourself freedom, you have to be ready to disappoint other people, and that's fine. You can't live your life pleasing everyone, and yourself, you have left it to the side. Your freedom will cost you disappointment to people. If you take that, you would stop trying to chase. See, the people that will be in your circle will be in your circle. Your friends will be your friends. When your friends are the people who understand your value and honor that value, they will even help you. They say, no, this thing that you're trying to do is not a, it's not what you stand for. They will even question you. But people who get offended by you disappointing them, then let them. It's fine. They may not necessarily have belong to your life. The legacy you leave starts with the truth that you live. So the legacy that you leave starts with the truth that you live. The truth that you live, the things that your children are seeing you every day, that's the legacy. That's the legacy that you leave. I just want us to, take time out, listen to this thing if you have to again, and just think about it. If you need to book a session, and that's just to unpack it, let's do that, because these things are deeper than that. When you say people, when you hear people are avoiding, overworking to avoid, there's always something deeper down there that they are avoiding. They're not, people are not just busy. There's what are you trying, everything, you're everywhere, but are you able to sit down alone with yourself, or you are afraid of just pausing? You just want to hit your bed, you just want to sleep on, put your head on pillow and then sleep. You don't want to be able to sit down with yourself. You're afraid to sit down with yourself. You're afraid to journal. You're afraid to hear your thoughts. Your thoughts are constantly chaotic. These things have there's something deeper going on down there. And if you need to talk to anyone, if you need to book a session with me, that will be something that could help you to come out from this state of overwhelm. But for now, thank you so much for listening. Thank you for your time. Thank you for always honoring me with your time on a Friday. And we'll see you next week. Till then, make sure you sit down, you ask yourself hard questions, be truthful to yourself, because there's no other person that will be able to tell you the truth as much as you would know. If you're avoiding, if you're using overwhelm as an excuse, tell yourself the truth. Seek help where you need to seek help. Ask for help where you need to, and don't drown in overwhelm. Thank you, and have a lovely evening or afternoon. Thank you.